Hello and welcome to this episode of Talking Trim. I'm Jonathon Skinner and today we are looking at various items for the Jaguar XK140 open two-seater Roadster. Now those of you familiar with my channel, you'll see that I've done another video focusing on the main interior cockpit panel items for the Jaguar XK140 Roadster. This is a continuation of that video effectively, where I'm mainly focusing on the sort of Hardura items that sit behind the front seats in the car towards the rear of the cabin and then go into the boot trunk area. So I'm going to refer to it as the boot. Obviously our American cousins refer to it as the trunk, so just bear that in mind. But yeah, basically these are the majority of the items. So anything behind the front seats mainly focus. Bear in mind there is a bit of a crossover in between this video and the other video in terms of some of the Moquette items, which I'll try and explain, but effectively I'll repeat myself for those who perhaps haven't seen that video. So let's dive on in. It's worth noting at this stage that all of these items are done to the OEM spec for this particular video. So there's a mixture of Hardura, which is a felt back plastic material with a grain on it, as per say this boot mat here, felt on the back of it. There's also some Moquette items and some vinyl trimmed items and vinyl loose items, as per what Jaguar used back on the original factory production line. Now we always say that with a pinch of salt because they were fairly inconsistent, and I will mention that with references to this book over here. It's also worth mentioning that all of these parts here have been done in what we refer to as biscuit as the colour, which is a very popular colour for this era of car. All of these items here are included as standard within our trim kits, or we do sell them individually. Now when we say individually, we sell them in car sets worth. So for certain items they're sold in pairs, for example like the Wheelarches, etc. We sell them as a pair, left and right, i.e. a car set. For other items where they're a single item, say like the boot lid here, they're singular. But like I say, all included as part of our trim kit. So starting at the front, or rather towards the front of the car, this main item here, this is what we refer to as the rear bulkhead, and it's effectively the rear shelf area. So it bends, goes down on a right angle, and it sits directly behind the rear seats. Easiest to demonstrate by looking in this book here. We are looking at effectively this item here. So it's the rear shelf item here that surrounds the differential hump. So that is made in Hardura as standard. We can also offer it in carpet if we prefer, but Hardura is standard. It's a felt material with a PVC coating and graining on it, edged as per original spec there, so it allows that bending up there. You then have the differential hump cover, which for the 140 Roadsters was Hardura. For the other 140s and indeed the 150s, they switched that to a Moquette material, but for the 140 Roadster it was Hardura as per this. You then got the main wheel arches and the lower wheel arches, which is a bit of a crossover to my other video, as I featured those. But these are Moquette, and these are very much prevalent and on show. This part here is quite hidden. Again, I'll refer to this book here. So we're talking about the main wheel arches there, and then the lowers of this section in here. Now, although these have been done in Moquette, you can see in this book here that is clearly not Moquette. This is where the pinch of salt comes in. Our records show that they should be Moquette, but certainly cars were left with what appears to be vinyl in those ones there. You can see actually on this, I believe that's a fixed head there, is it? Top? No, it's a drop head. But they were Moquette clearly on there for those there. So yeah, subject to debate. We always ask our customers to just tell us what was in their car if they know, or what they prefer if they don't know. So we've done those in Moquette. Like I say, the small bits there, you only really see that side bit there, because the rest of it is, that flat bit there is part of the rear bulkhead there. So that's those pieces. Then you've got the rear access hatch. Now this is the plywood panel basically that folds down, that separates the main cabin area to the boot trunk area. So one side of it was Moquette, Moquette being a very high quality wool based product that Jaguar commonly used for a lot of areas in their cars, mainly seen on the backs of the front seats. And then on the opposite side it is sewn, but on the opposite side is Hardura, which matches obviously to the boot trunk area. and that is effectively this hatch panel here. So this is from a 140 Roadster that I'm looking at here, but clearly shown in these other photos here from various other 140s. You can see that that's the moquette there, and then as it folds down it goes into the Hardura so that it seamlessly crosses in between the boot trunk mats, etc. You then have this side screen storage shelf, which is obviously unique to the Roadster because they had side screens, whereas the other drop head and fixed heads did not. That's this shelf here. Hardura again, edged on the front edge there, which is the bit that's seen obviously, whereas the rest of it is not. So that's the sort of cabin area, i.e. main cockpit cabin. You then, all of these items here are going into the boot trunk area. So if I look, pretending like I'm looking through the boot lid, you've effectively got the boot mat there, which obviously has the cutaways here, and then the left side of the car as you're facing forward, and the right side of the car. You've got all the cutaways obviously for the hinges, etc. The left was done in two pieces to allow for the petrol filler, which was a domed piece covered in this moquette material here. The rest of it was Hardura again, so it's got that felt backing to it, etc. On it. Different points of edging as well, not all edged all the way around, commonly not edged on the very top section there, as that's lost effectively when fitting into the car. Then you had the boot trunk panel. Obviously this is kind of upside down because of the way that's installed into the car. But this is a fully trimmed hardboard panel, trimmed all the way around. We float over the hole in the middle there to give you flexibility of whether you're going to trim out the lights or not. And then this is a retrim kit for the boot hinge panel. Now again, to reference a book here, and again take it with a pinch of salt because this isn't necessarily for the 140 Roadster, but they're all very similar. So you've got the boot lid there with obviously the cutaways for the hinges, which are these elements here, as you can see. Then this is the boot hinge. So this is the material. It's normally a metal panel. We, as standard, supply material as part of our trim kit, because obviously a metal panel you can normally reuse absolutely fine. And although we can supply a trimmed metal panel, we tend to find that the item there can be quite inconsistent from car to car. So therefore we always recommend, where possible, to just reuse your original. You know it fits, so therefore the material is there. Obviously if you do want us to supply you with a trimmed metal one, then that's an optional extra outside the scope of the trim kit. Obviously you can see the way the boot curves. The hardboard we use does allow the flex to curve round. What else have we got here? This is obviously the petrol or fuel filler domed piece here, which is obviously the moquette there. And then, let's see, not great views of the boot sides, I'm afraid. But no, I mean the side panels here. Now, certainly for the 140 Roadster, they're in a two-piece on this left side here. We also do have patterns for the other 140s where that's in one piece, and that's, if that's the case, it's obviously because what happens is you have to fully take off the petrol filler dome. The Hardura gets put behind it and then that put back on top. But for this one, it is a two-piece, so it makes it easier to fit there. So yeah, I think that covers most of the bases. Yeah, thanks for tuning in. Please remember to like, subscribe and share with other classic car enthusiasts. And of course, be sure to check out our videos featuring the 140 Roadster interior trim parts. Till next time, cheers.